welcome to today's video. Today I will be going over my summer TBR, and in case you cannot tell from the title of this video, I asked some Instagrammers and YouTubers to help me pick my TBR for the summer. The reason why I'm doing a summer TBR, not like a monthly TBR this time, is because starting in July, like beginning-ish of July, I'm going to be living in Austria for 6 weeks, and that means that I won't have a lot of time for filming and like editing TBR videos and other stuff like that. And also the laptop I use for editing, it's the school laptop, so of course that has to go back to the school. So that means that you shouldn't expect that many videos from me soon. I do plan on posting some scheduled content. I have my list of TBR books right here. But basically, I will not have that much time for editing, or, I mean, I will have time to read because we are driving and the drive is like 16 hours. And so at least I will have time for that. And so for my TBR, I decided to, I did decide to, do what I have done previously, where, the books that I have not read from the previous month would make it onto the TBR for next month. That has not worked for me, at least for this month. I will still do it, mainly because at least a couple of the books have been recommended to me anyways, but I only finished one book out of my physical TBR, but a couple of them already made it onto the TBR, so I just started I just announced the read for my book club, which is on Goodreads. I will link that in the comments below, and we voted on reading A Good Girl's Guide to Murder for June, and so I will be reading that in June. And I'm really excited because that's the one that I personally nominated. That got 5 out of 12 votes, I think. I nominated it because I wanted to watch the show and I wanted to read the book before watching the show. And then also I'm part of one group on Goodreads, Faith and Fantasy, which I will also link below. And if I have access to whatever they're reading, I will read it. And then also I'm a part of Judah's book club on Discord, which I totally suggest you should check out. It's a lot of fun. I love it. And whatever he decides we read, that's what we will read. I probably should have made a shelf for the Goodreads, or at least for the books on Goodreads. Okay, I think all of them are on Goodreads, but you know what I mean. So the first one that we have is Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I do not know anything about it. I think it's a litfic, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that name. It says, in a small back alley in Tokyo, there's a cafe which has been serving carefully brewed coffee for more than 100 years. But this coffee shop offers its customers a unique experience, the chance to travel back in time. Before the coffee gets cold, we meet 4 visitors, each of whom is hoping to make use of their cafe's time-traveling offer in order to confront the man who left them, receive a letter from their husband whose memory has been taken on by early onset Alzheimer's, to see their sister one last time, and to meet the daughter they never got the chance to know. But the journey into the past does not come without risks. Customers must sit in a particular seat, they cannot leave the cafe, and finally, they must return to the present before the coffee gets cold. So actually, it's more of a fantasy, it seems like. So that seems really interesting. I never really knew anything about it. I just saw it on the shelf in the bookstore, thought it looked interesting, and added it to my Goodreads TBR, and somebody chose that. I will attempt to link the Instagram people in the comments or in the description, but I don't think that will happen because I've lost track of who recommended what and all of that. So the next book is one that I will be buddy reading, is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. Yes, I still have not read that. It's really high on my TBR. I loved her other book, The Queen's Rising, and this one looks really interesting. If you don't know what it's about it's historical fantasy, and it takes place in World War II, and it's basically like You've Got Mail, where they are communicating by male in secret but hate each other in real life, and I think they are workplace rivals where they're both journalists, I think. And then the next book I'm really excited about, but I have to buy the physical copy because I haven't seen it anywhere online, is Heartless by Miss Marissa Meyer. And I was really happy when I got this recommendation because it was the one and only Judah Blackford who recommended it to me. And like when I saw he messaged me, I was just like, wait, what? Thank you so much. If you're watching this, Judah, hi. You made my day when you gave that recommendation, so thank you. So yeah, Heartless by Marissa Meyer. It's basically like a prequel to Alice in Wonderland, which I've never actually read or watched, so this should be interesting. I read her other series, The Lunar Chronicles, and I loved The Lunar Chronicles, and I really enjoyed her writing, and now I want to read her other stuff. But yeah, this looks really good. And then the next 4 books came from Power of Books, which is one of my favorite YouTube channels. You should totally check her out. She just reached 1K, so congratulations. First off, we have Throne of Glass, which I have been waiting for an excuse to add that to my TBR forever. I've been meaning to buy it, but obviously I haven't. I want to start with The Assassin's Blade and then continue on like with Throne of Glass and then the next couple and then like the entire series. But some of my good friends read it and loved it. One of my good friends is currently reading Kingdom of Ash and is loving it. And I really want to read this, obviously, or else I wouldn't have it on here. The next book that we have is one that I physically own and still have not gotten to. What am I doing? Is Six of Crows by Lee Bardugo. I'm going to start it at the beginning of the month. I hope. I should just start it. Like, why am I putting it off? Okay. Actually, I know why I'm putting it off, because there were other books that I had to prioritize due to book clubs and stuff, and then also I'm starting to follow this rule where I can only start a book if I finish 2 books. That has not happened for me yet. Thank you so much, Power Books, for again adding this to my TBR. Well, as I mentioned, stuff that I haven't already read is gonna be on the TBR, so like from past months, I mean, will be on this TBR. Then we have Beach Read by Emily Henry. I do know this one is a little spicy, and I think the next one is too. I don't know much about it, except obviously it's by Emily Henry, and Haley Pham loves Emily Henry, and I love Haley Pham, and I feel like we have similar tastes, mostly. It says, a romance writer who no longer believes in love and a literary writer stuck in a rut engage in a summer-long challenge that may just upend everything they believe about happily ever afters. Augustus Everett is an acclaimed author of literary fiction. January Andrews writes best-selling romance. When she pens a happily ever after, he kills off his entire cast. They're polar opposites. In fact, the only thing they have in common is that for the next 3 months, they're living in neighboring beach houses, broke and bogged down with writer's block. Until one hazy evening, one thing leads to another, and they strike at the zeal designed to force them out of their creative ruts. Augustus will spend the summer writing something happy. In January, will pen the next great American novel. She'll take him on a field trip worthy of any rom-com montage, and he'll take her to interview surviving members of a backwoods death cult. Obviously, everyone will finish a book and no one will fall in love. Really. That is Beach Read, and it looks really interesting. Then we have Red Rising by Pierce Brown. Again, Haley loved it. I know it's sci-fi, and I don't know that much about it besides that, and it's a quartet. Okay, I'm not going to read the entire synopsis because we're running out of time here. So it seems that there is a cast similar to maybe The Selection. Apparently they have been betrayed, and he realizes that there's an entire civilization that he did not know about, that he'd been working towards, but like his work was in vain. So yeah, that is Red Rising. Then we have What the River Knows by Isabel Ibanez. I don't know much about it. I've seen this cover all over Book Talk and stuff. Bolivian Argentinian Inez Olivera belongs to the glittering upper society of 19th century Buenos Aires. Like the rest of the world, the town is steeped in old magic that's been largely left behind or forgotten. Inez has everything a girl might want, except the one thing she yearns for the most, her globe-trotting parents who frequently leave her behind. Okay, that's sad. I'm not going to read the rest of this, but so it seems like it's a historical fiction fantasy, which again, I shouldn't say again because I didn't mention it, but I do really like historical fiction fantasy. My favorite fantasy series, Infernal Devices, is historical fiction. And then we have Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. We actually have two Madeline Miller books on here. We have Circe and Song of Achilles. Song of Achilles, it's about the Trojan War, and it follows Achilles and his relationship with Patroclus. Don't know much more about that, except it's heartbreaking. I do know what happened, like, Greek mythology-wise, so, like, how bad could it be, huh? How bad could it be? And then we have Circe, which I assume would follow Circe. It's basically about the backstory of Circe and, like, how she became who she was and all of that. And then we have House of Bane and Blood. I don't know much about it. I don't think it's on my TBR even, which is interesting. Like on my Goodreads TBR, obviously. Looks like enemies to lovers do a POV. You all can look up the synopsis. I'm in kind of a time rush, so I was really sorry about that. And then we have Lore by Alexandra Bracken. So yeah, it's basically about Athena, but she's forced to become mortal or something. And then we also have one that I'm sure a lot of you have read. It's The Giver. I don't remember who it's by, but I do know that it's like a fantasy where everybody sees everything in black and white, and then I think like somebody sees things in color. Not entirely sure about that, and I don't know who it's by. And then we have another book that Haley loved, called The Nightingale. Actually, the next two books are ones that she enjoyed. But The Nightingale by, I cannot remember the name, but I know it's historical fiction. It's by Kristen Hanna, and yeah, it takes place in France, and I know it follows two sisters. Not sure about what it's about. Then we also have Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This is the third in a series that I have not read, but again, Haley loved it. I don't remember what it's about, but it looks really good. And then we also have Belladonna by, remember who it's by, Adeline Grace, and then it's a series. It looks like a trilogy maybe. Yeah, that looks really good. And then we also have Pumpkin Spice Cafe, which I have never heard of. I think from what I've heard, it's an independently released novel. It does look really good. It seems more like a fall vibe, so I feel like I'll read it sometime in August, because here that's when the leaves start falling. And then I'm very proud to admit I got not one, but two arcs that I will be hopefully reading during the summer. One of them is due June, I think. I'm going on to NetGalley to see, to make sure what they are. So we have Set in Stone by Kimberly Woodhouse and A Choice Considered by Tracy Peterson. Both of those are Christian historical romance, and from what I know, they're both second books in the series, but from what I know, a lot of romance series are interconnected. Set in Stone is due June 29th, and then A Choice Considered is August 11th, so I do have a little bit of time for those. Excuse me. So, thank you all for joining me on today's very long TBR. Actually, I'm going to show you how many physical books I have not read. This will be a bit of a spoiler for whenever I do my wrap-up, which should be maybe Wednesday, but don't quote me on that. We have Sense and Sensibility, Six of Crows, The Curse of Dark and Lonely, and then Lord of the Rings. And then also Wuthering Heights, but you can't really see that. So, thank you all for joining me on today's adventure, and I will see you soon with a new video. Bye.